Hey everybody, Scout Crafter here again. I have the colors out there for David. He pointed out that I've been slacking off a little bit of showing them. And today has to be one of the best days, 10 best days of the year. It is absolutely gorgeous. Low humidity, about 70 degrees. It's just beautiful. So I don't want to spend a lot of time down the basement. So let's get started, see what we can drum up today. Okay, I picked up these pair of military pliers. I really enjoy military style pliers. This one I picked up, I've never seen these type before, and what really intrigued me is this little bend that I thought might have been added afterwards, but it is a factory bend, I believe. And what's nice about these pliers, it's, you know, they're stamped US, as you can see here on both sides, but it came with a broken rivet. You see that there? And it's all loose, and it has to be repaired. Now, that's today's project. Once these pliers come apart, the restoration is super easy because you got two halves here. I want to point out some other features of this, but after it's restored, no sense in messing with a dirty pair of pliers. So take a look at what it looks like, the rust, the scale, and take a good look at that rivet there. And let's get started. Now, the first thing we want to do to remove this rivet, it's more difficult than it looks. You can grind it off, but then you would take a chance on touching the pliers and ruining that and putting some scars in there. So we don't want to do that. Well, you could drill it out. The problem is that this is a spinning rivet. It's spinning now because it's so loose. And once the drill starts to catch, it's going to spin it. And it's very difficult to hold it because there's no flats to hold the rivet. So we're going to try and drill this side because it's already damaged and there's the least amount of work to be done. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to file the top or grind it. We're going to file it to get this nice and flat, and then we're going to punch a dimple in. These are called center drills, and what these are made for, it's mostly used in the machinist industry, but everybody should have one. You can pick them up online, really inexpensive. A regular drill has just a flat, straight shank, and what happens is, I'll show you, they tend to walk if you're trying to drill or start a hole. Whereas a center drill is a very stout drill, very strong, and it tapers down to a fine point with a minimal of flex. And let me show you why that's so, it works so well. Now, we used a punch, and I made a little dimple there where the drill bit would seat, but I want to show you worst case scenario. What happens if you try and drill into metal? That drill bit is going to walk around and not be able to take a good bite. Let me show you what happens. Now, that's very typical of what would happen. The drill bit can't bite, so it tends to walk around and spin around the surface. And let me show you what happens with a center. Now, here's a center drill with the same scenario. I'm not going to use the pin punch. I'm just going to do it on bare metal. You see how we were able to bite and start a hole? So that's why you would want a center drill. It's worth the money. Go pick one up. You'll need it. Okay, another tip here. You know I love great-grandpa's advice, right? Okay, so I take two scrap pieces of wood. Again, we got them floating all around. Just attach a piece of wood at a right angle to another piece. Slip it into the vise, and you have a work surface that's not as hard as the steel vise, but you can also drill and make whatever you have to do, and I'll show you why this comes in handy. I want to drill just a dimple into this makeshift work surface so that we can use it as a for what we're about to do. So I'm going to move the table over a little bit. I'll lock the table down just to put it about somewhat near the center over here where I want. Lock the table down and just put a small That's it. Okay, we made our little hole. I took my hand. This is a great tool, this General hand countersink, and just gave it a little countersink around the edge here so that the rivet on this side will fit in here. You can see it fits in there nicely, and when we punch it through, we'll have some room to drop out, but it'll have support too. So we're going to take a pin punch, put it in here, and bang it out. Now here's something interesting. You could see that the washer that came out, it looks like it was a three-piece design. You had two conical washers that had a countersink in there on each end of the pliers, and then I guess there was this one piece of steel that went in that was mushed down, and that's what created the rivet. So we'll see how we're going to fix it. Well, here we are at our post-wire brush evaluation. Now you could see they came out really nice as far as rust removal, but there's, you know, a lot of pitting and damage and things like that to the pliers themselves, especially up here on the jaw. You could see the pitting up there. The beautiful part about being able to take pliers apart is that you can always clean the inside. You could sharpen these little cutter teeth. So that is why a lot of early manufacturers had nuts that and a bolt design that you could see how that fits through there, and they usually had flats on each side of it so that you can remove it if you had to take it apart to service it or whatever. Channel lock, this is an older channel lock, one of my early ones, a 426. I believe they rivet them now, but years ago they used to have a nut and you could tighten them up as they wear. It's a preferable design. However, in combat, I'm sure you don't want something that could possibly come apart. But, and that's, they have the rivet designs. That's pretty much what they do on all your pliers today. It's a rivet design. I think it's cheaper. And so I have to now have lunch, decide on what I'm going to do. If I'm going to use a bolt, a rivet, am I going to, how am I going to finish these? You know, trying to make these original. They're already damaged. They're already repaired. So there is no value to them to make them original, but I would like to use them because, like, you know what's beautiful about this turn? When you have them in a holster or something and you want to pull them out, that little turn on the end of one handle is ingenious. And it really makes it much better to hold. But we'll go through that again when we're figure out what we're going to do as far as joining these two halves. Well, I just had lunch and figured it out. Now, I could easily make a rivet and bang it down on one side to look like this, but I never liked the way this looks. You see that? I never liked the way that bang down rivet looks, and that's why this looks so professional when it was in here. The domed part made it look much better. When it was in here, you could see that looked more professional. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a carriage bolt, okay? And a carriage bolt is nothing more than this is 1/4 by 20, but it has a square shank on part of it, and that's to stop the bolt from spinning when you bang it into a piece of wood. And I'm going to remove this square part and use this into here, and we're going to make that work. And then I will trim it down on the lathe to the same size as the rounder, as what it was. I only have to take off about the 1/16 of an inch, and then we'll use a piece of steel here and make a nut. Let's do that. Okay, the first thing we had to do, obviously, is clean up the bolt, the shoulder of the bolt, and then we had to size it to get it to the right size, and then shape it to make it look like the dome of the rivet. We used a file and some sandpaper to get the right finish. After that, we started working on that little nut, and we faced it off, then we center drilled it and drilled it up to size, eventually getting to a number 7 drill bit, which is what you need right before you tap it, 1/4-20. And here I am using my favorite Starrett tap handle, which I love. After that, we shaped that to make it look like a button or a dome, and filed it off. And then we go through the lengthy process of parting it off. When you got to use a lot of fluid, and take your time on this one. And after this, we used the countersink that we got at the with the drill, that other drill I restored. Okay, that was fun. We did our little nut, got it down to the right size. We have all we got to do is file 2 flats on each side. Let's do that. Now it was a quick job on the button with the file, just to flatten the 2 sides. Then we took it over to the belt sander and then the buffer. And then we peened over and assembled and peened over the nut. And you know, my favorite part of the video, remember what it looked like before we started. And we are calling these done. And I have to tell you, I think this might be my favorite pair of pliers. I am just really ecstatic with the way these came out. First of all, we cleaned them up, you know, did a polish on them. Here's the rivet on the one side. Made it even look like it was encapsulated like the old one. Same exact size as the other one. And here's the little nut we made for the to the other side. Peened it over. What you have to do when you're doing a nut like this, you let it about a 1/16 of an inch longer, and then you peen it down. Polished everything out nice. The handles came out. Look at the back of this handle, huh? I mean, and this just feels so nice in the hand. And remember, it used to rattle. No rattle. Perfectly smooth. And it's just, I'm telling you, I think it might be my favorite. Let me show you how this beauty works. Now, one thing so nice about these cutters, besides being thin, lightweight, and very easy to handle, you see the cutters, how when they close, they encapsulate and draw it back to the rear of the pliers. And again, how close the rivet is to the cutter. Ingenious. Much better than the other versions we had. And now that I was able to take it apart, I was able to hone the cutters. So let me show you how easily. This is regular copper wire. And again, it brings it to the rear of the, look at that. It's like, you know, 2 fingers. Here's the regular hanger wire that we did. I mean, it cuts easier than all them other longer ones. And oh, I just love this pliers. It's great. Okay, so in closing, like I said, I think these might be my favorite pair, and hope you enjoyed the restoration. Appreciate you sticking around for it, and I hope you have a nice weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.